In this video, I will present you the auto retrieve feature. This feature, the idea is that we are losing too much time making individual retrieve when we want to retrieve a batch of patients for a retrospective study, and then rather than having to make manual query for patients one by one and retrieve them, the software should do it for you, and you have just to define a list of patients to retrieve, and the software is going to make the query and retrieve for you without any manual intervention. And basically, this operation that could take hours will be done automatically. So we are going back to the Query Retrieve interface, which is this one, and we are going to go to Auto Retrieve tab. I'm going to select the AET I want to make the query retrieve, and I'm going to define what I want to get from the AET. So I can define last name, first name, ID, accession number, study date range, modalities, study description. So here I'm just going to put, and I'm just for privacy reason, just to select my quality control and do not show patient identity of my institution. And I'm going to, and I can make several filtering that I want. So here I'm going to set, for example, modalities, nuclear medicine, and so I can define this way how many patients I want, and I can, before starting the retrieve, also test what are going to be my results. So I can click on show results, and this will perform the query and show you the results. It doesn't retrieve anything, but it shows you what are going to be retrieved in the retrieve if you launch the process. So I can select in this list what I want to retrieve. For example, if I wasn't interested by this one, I can remove it, for example, or remove a range, and select my final list of retrieve and import it in the main tab. I can also use this feature to make cross-matching. For example, if I would want to check if one of these patients have also, for example, a study that is called test, which is obviously not the case. And I'm going to see show results, and I have no result here. So there is no patient that having both quality control and study description named test. So I can change for study description for all, and I can once I have my final list of patients that going to be retrieved, I can start the retrieve process. I have two ways to start the process. I can schedule, and by default I schedule to 10 p.m. This schedule is going to be useful if you want a large retrieve that and you want to avoid to overload your server. You can schedule it outside the working hours, and you can click here to start the retrieve. Also, you have in the option the possibility to select another hour than 10 p.m. and you will get also the possibility to choose a series filter, because all we have defined before is at the study level, but you can choose to only include series that have a specific modalities, a series number value, or a series description. Here also in the option there is a safety number, because theoretically you can define any query you want at the study level, and we can know how many results we're going to get. So you can define a safety number if the study query is too large and retrieve more than here 10 match, this is not going to be retrieved to not fool your hard disk. So I know what is going to be. So I can start the retrieve, and I see the progress on the retrieve query by query, how many studies has been downloaded, etc. I can save the historical progress of the retrieve into a CSV file to get an history of what have been retrieved query by query. And then once it's done, this table appears, and this is the result of all my retrieved studies. And I can send the list to the anonymize tools, and here you see the anonymize tools filled by my retrieve results, or I can also send to the export list, and this is my export list filled by what I have automatically retrieved, and I can export everything as a zip file or send it to another IAT or whatever I want. So this is for the auto query feature of Orthanc tools.